Hey, so this brain dead influencer was arrested once, and people said it was bound to happen again. Now that again has arrived, and this time the consequences are more severe than anyone could have predicted. Picture an influencer so reckless that even a brush with the law couldn't curb his appetite for outrageous pranks. Today, we're diving into how one social media star's obsession with going viral might just land him behind bars for a very, very long time. His actions have left unsuspecting bystanders drenched in revolting concoctions and the internet buzzing with outrage. But the twisted truth behind his latest downfall is even more disturbing than the clips you've already seen, and the details will leave you questioning just how far someone is willing to go for a few cheap likes. Long before his antics made headlines, this Belgian influencer, Yannicky, was just another content creator looking for an edge. In a sea of gotcha pranks and comedic skits, he believed that mixing shock value with borderline illegal stunts would be his fast track to fame. His early content was simple, if bizarre. He'd film himself dumping water or non-toxic liquids on friends for laughs, sprinkling in mild profanity or stage reactions. But when that wasn't enough, he ramped it up. Rumors circulated about him constantly brainstorming new ways to make viewers wince. Some who knew him personally claimed he was always fixated on finding the next big shock, often ignoring any moral or ethical boundaries along the way. It didn't take long for these stunts to escalate. One day, plain water turned to sticky syrup. The next, it was raw eggs and soggy trash. Audiences initially clicked in droves, drawn by the sheer spectacle. Most shook their heads, calling it gross but harmless, but it quickly became evident that he was testing the waters for just how far he could go without getting caught or demonetized. By 2024, he had compiled a disturbingly creative roster of pranks, each more nauseating than the last. Despite receiving only moderate engagement, his fascination with pushing limits kept growing. His downfall really began the day he went from tossing harmless liquids to assaulting complete strangers on public transport. Early in 2024, he crept onto Belgian subways with grimy, foul-smelling buckets that combined paint, rotting food scraps, and even dog waste. Once the train was in motion, he'd suddenly hurl these revolting mixtures over unsuspecting passengers, capturing every mortifying moment on camera. In his twisted mind, it was just a prank. Yet, to those drenched in this stuff, it was nothing short of an assault. And the law agreed. Arrests soon followed, with charges of assault, battery, and damaging public property. Many believed that was the end of his ridiculous escapades. Commentators on social media assumed he would have a wake-up call and realized this was no longer a game. Instead, after posting bail, he seemed to relish the notoriety. He re-emerged online, rebranding his series while apparently ignoring every warning the justice system had thrown at him. Out on bail, Yannick obviously didn't reflect, apologize, or pivot to harmless content. Instead, he launched a fresh wave of attacks, this time with baskets of chicken eggs aimed at unsuspecting people trying to go about their day. Nobody was off limits. Folks on trains, tourists snapping photos, even delivery drivers rushing to work. In a series of short, awkward videos, he would laugh maniacally while egging random victims. The comedic aspect was nowhere to be seen. These weren't staged pranks among friends. These were real people getting humiliated for a video that might, at best, garner a few thousand likes. Whispers of mental instability made the rounds among those who knew him, but he himself maintained that he was fully aware of his actions. According to some social media posts, he considered these episodes performance art, brushing aside criticisms as people being too sensitive. But the local authorities, fed up with repeated offenses and the influencer's refusal to learn, decided to tighten the leash. They began collecting evidence more aggressively, waiting for the right moment to bring down the hammer of justice. That moment came after yet another stunt, a vile blend of oils, wood chips, and unidentified waste materials Yannicky poured over someone's head in broad daylight. If that wasn't bad enough, police found tear gas canisters on him, raising the stakes from gross and violent pranks to something far more sinister. This time, law enforcement wasn't messing around. Not only did they charge him for a fresh round of assaults, but they also threw in charges for illegal weapon possession, disorderly conduct, and even distributing hazardous materials. Local prosecutors wasted no time in issuing a statement condemning these pranks. One official called the videos a reckless disregard for human decency, making it crystal clear they intended to see the case through to the highest penalty possible. And given how Belgian law treats repeat offenders, especially those who violate bail, Yannicky now faces a long roster of potential punishments. Court documents detail assault and battery with premeditation, which could carry up to 10, 15, even 20 years behind bars. Add in the separate charges for bail violation, insulting state agents, and the weapons offense, and you're looking at an alarmingly high ceiling for prison time. It's the sort of list that makes you wonder if anyone would ever risk it all just for social media clout. Unsurprisingly, the public has had enough. Outrage simmered for months on social media. People demanded the authorities do something about someone who was quite literally throwing toxic waste onto their neighbors. Commuters in Brussels voiced relief when news spread of his most recent arrest, with some joking that they could finally ride public transport without wearing protective gear. Yet there's a lingering question: could Yannicki be part of a bigger trend where wannabe influencers push pranks to extremes for fleeting internet fame? Various rumors swirl about his personal life. Some claim Yannicki is deeply in debt, desperate for any form of engagement that might lead to sponsorship deals or brand attention. Others suggest he's part of a private network of shock-driven creators who compare notes and dare each other to take pranks further. Though these rumors remain unverified, they do hint at a troubling culture where humiliation and bodily harm become stepping stones for online visibility. Experts watching the case believe this trial could set a major precedent. Belgium, like many countries, is still catching up to how it prosecutes dangerous acts performed for social media. Judges may want to send a message punishing Yannicki to the fullest extent so that future pranksters think twice. Yet there's always the chance of a plea bargain if the influencer's legal team can argue that the content was performance art and never intended to harm. Then again, multiple arrests and repeated disregard for the law make that an uphill battle. If the goal was to become famous, Yannicki is about to see how infamy can backfire spectacularly. The influencer's fanbase, tiny but vocal, continues to claim that everyone's overreacting, labeling him a misunderstood genius. Obviously, this poor attempt at trying to spin the situation hasn't gone over well with the general public. Many can't fathom how traumatizing innocent people qualifies as genius move. If anything, his story is morphing into a dark satirical tale, where chasing likes becomes more important than respecting basic human boundaries. You eventually collide with reality, and more often than not end up behind bars. It's too easy to dismiss Yannicki as a one-off extremist. The online landscape has a knack for glorifying or at least giving airspace to reckless acts and inappropriate behaviors. Prank videos are a tried and true formula because they thrive on big reactions, often at the expense of unconsenting participants. Over the years, we've seen everything from mass creeps jumping out at strangers to borderline traumatizing hoaxes. And now with live streams and instant uploads, people feel constant pressure to produce content that goes beyond what's been done. As content boundaries stretch, some creators inevitably cross the line into criminal territory. Yannicki exemplifies that shift, from mild inconvenience to actual assault, all filmed for social validation. You have to wonder, does the public also bear responsibility by watching, commenting, or even hate sharing these clips? Every view feeds the beast, even if those views come from pure outrage. Yet blame doesn't absolve the influencer of his choices. Ultimately, he's the one who grabbed that bucket, filled it with unspeakable filth, and dumped it on some unsuspecting person's head. Now, as Yannicki sits in a detention center awaiting trial, the question looms: will the legal system make an example of him, or will he slip through with a slap on the wrist? For the countless victims who had their days ruined, each new arrest feels like a small victory, but the heartbreak lies in how preventable it all was. Had he cared about anything more than a fleeting burst of attention, he might still be a free man. Instead, he's racked up an alarming list of charges, outrun second chances, and cornered himself into a jail cell. Whether his next headline will read "sentenced to decades" or "released with conditions," one thing is clear: those humiliating pranks have completely derailed his life. And maybe his story is an overdue wake-up call to other creators flirting with the boundaries of legal and moral decency. Because if there's one takeaway from this entire debacle, it's that chasing clout by trampling on other people's dignity can cost you far more than it's ever worth. That's where his story stands, caught between viral infamy and the cold, hard reality of a courtroom. While we wait for his official trial dates and final judgments, there's relief in knowing you can ride a Brussels subway car without worrying about a bucket of revolting slop raining down on you. But for Yannicki himself, the days of tormenting the public and filming are over. The next prank he experiences might be the justice system handing him the harshest sentence possible, hopefully driving home the point that no social media high in attention is worth prison time. Hopefully this scumbag gets what he deserves, and this sends a message to other content creators who do similar lowbrow content. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay excellent. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you all in the next one.